Hi, everyone, and welcome once again to the Healer's Journey free webinar. We are continuing our topic, working with animals, and this time we'll touch upon the topic of deep healing and what that means for working with animals. And of course, I am Rosemary Levesque. This is my dog, Gracie. And I have a book that is out there on Amazon. You can find it, Heal Together, Natural Health Solutions for Animals and Their Humans. And I do have to say that I published that book in September of 2015. And I would be adding chapters to it now because there's more to say. There's more. Please know there is always more. When we are on our journey, it is not a stagnant process. We don't learn everything there is to know and then stop. So eventually I will be revising that book and adding more chapters, but that's going to take a while because I'm writing another book too. So we'll see what happens with that. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can always give me a call. So tonight's topic, we're going to get right into it. What is deep healing? And this may have attracted you to joining this webinar series in not only in working with animals, but knowing that there's a deep healing aspect that can happen. So let's talk about that for just a minute. What is deep healing? Well, first of all, deep healing involves a journey. And when you're on a journey, you might think, oh, there's a beginning and there's an end. And actually, well, maybe not. Maybe there's not an end. Just like I said with my book, I did publish that book some time ago, and yet there is more, right? So there's always an aspect of more on a deep healing journey. When you begin a process of awakening, becoming aware, incorporating natural solutions, you're beginning to scrape the surface of that journey, but know that there is always more. A deep healing journey always involves cleansing and releasing. Now, we've talked about this on other webinars. It's so important to do this process of cleanse and release. The idea is that we can do some physical cleanse and physical release. Before I started this recording, we talked about, gee, what's in your closet? What are you letting go of? What are you releasing from your life to make room for other things? It's not just a physical process, though, because cleansing and releasing can also be an emotional process. What are you attached to? In the deep healing journey, you might be, if you're working with animals especially, you might be attached to the concept of, I have to save my dog. I have to keep my dog from dying. And of course, that's usually our goal, right? That's why we're working on this. That's why we're doing this kind of work, this healing work. We would like to have that kind of outcome. We are not in favor, usually, the people I'm working with are not in favor of letting their dog go, especially if there's hope for healing. So I would also add hope. I didn't put it in my list here, but I would add hope as an emotional component for deep healing. But this cleanse and release, there's a physical cleanse, getting rid of all of the chemicals in your home, getting rid of the clutter and the things that you don't need to make space for other things. There's also a detoxification type of cleanse and a letting go of preconceived notions, a letting go of what you think the outcome should be or what the outcome might look like. That is also a part of cleanse and release. Another aspect of deep healing is that there is repair. We like to know that we're going in the right direction. We like to know that there is some repair happening. Repair is always happening. It is always happening. The body knows how to heal. And so it is always healing. It is always trying to do that. But in the deep healing journey, it might be a slow process because there are so many other things that also have to be dealt with, like the cleanse and release process. So the repair process might be a little slower than you would like it to be. Of course, in the deep healing journey, we need to replenish. We need to do self-care, self for yourself, and of course for your animals. If you're working with your animals, you want to make sure that they are getting the care that they need. They need to sleep. And you might wonder, why is my dog sleeping so much? Well, healing happens during sleep. So sleep is a replenishing thing. Also, why is my dog not eating? Well, it could be because there's some repair going on that they can't really stomach the food at that time. So you need to look for other ways to offer nutrition. And that might be liquid food. It might be colostrum. It might be something really soft and easy to digest because there is repair happening, and yet still you need to replenish. So be gentle. Offer the time it takes for that healing process. Rejuvenate. Now, it goes hand in hand with replenish. Replenish was more about the physical aspect of the supplements you need, the sleep, the nutrition, the food, and so forth. Rejuvenate actually involves things like massage and Reiki, energy healing. It could be playing music, soft, gentle sounds. It could be acupuncture. All of these things stimulate new cell growth, stimulate blood flow, stimulate the body to heal a little bit more easily, a little more rapidly. And so rejuvenation is a process in deep healing. You want to make sure you're adding back in the good vibes that will stimulate the cells to do what they know how to do. So I have a few stories to share with you. And this one, several of the stories I have to share are older stories. I did add one or two new ones, but the new ones are also in process, so I don't have total updates on this. And I'm starting the story with Boulder, and that's his dad, David. David was living in a different state when we first connected, and he signed up for my newsletter, but eventually moved here to Portland. He was living in Colorado. He moved here to Portland and had his dog with him. His dog had been on chemotherapy for 3 years. And he could tell it wasn't working anymore. And the reason why he had connected with me in the first place was not for his dog, but to learn Reiki. And when he moved to Portland, he sought out a way to help his dog, and he found me again. Gee, there are no coincidences, right? And so I said, I can help you with that, and offered a protocol, offered some things that would help Boulder in his healing process. And you can see in the testimony he provided that I gave him hope where there was almost none. Now, Boulder had been on chemotherapy for so long, and I really don't want to call it chemotherapy. I know that's what the medical community calls it, but therapy implies healing. Therapy implies a nice process. Chemical treatment, I'll just call it chemical treatment. Boulder had been on chemical treatment for so long that his body wasn't able to rally anymore because that kind of chemical treatment doesn't allow for a healing process. It's chemicals that poison, and they're intended to poison. but it was poisoning the whole body. I'm not saying this so that there's any guilt involved. It's just a matter-of-fact thing. A lot of people choose chemical treatments and expect a positive outcome, whether it's for their animals or for themselves, and that may not be the outcome. But when David switched Boulder over to my protocol, he found that Boulder felt good, and he was able to have months more, not years, months more, with a good, vibrant, energetic Boulder until it was his final days. Now, it's really interesting that when David came over to pick up some more of the detoxification product that I had him using for Boulder, Gracie chimed in. Gracie was coming across my lap, and she had some messages for David. And so I just relayed the messages to David, and boy, did that resonate with him. He said, yeah, I can see where she's coming from, and he did a few things differently. He ended up taking Reiki class, Reiki 1 class, and he was able to implement that with Boulder and his other animals as well, and for himself. So his deep healing journey and Boulder's deep healing journey overlapped. He was able to help Boulder, and Boulder was able to help him. Thus the title of the book, Heal Together, right? So this I consider one of the most beautiful deep healing journeys that I can think of, because he had hope. He had good things happening with Boulder, when you can see how in that picture how connected they are. Beautiful story. This is Spanky. Spanky lived in Arizona, and actually in the heat had heat stroke. Was in an emergency situation. Poor little dog. Oh my gosh. Not only did he have heat stroke, but he also had valley fever. Very common in Arizona to have that kind of infection. And we got Spanky on my protocol, which involved detoxification and immune support and a change in diet. And you can see what she says here. In bringing Spanky in for that heat stroke, Spanky bounced back, and by the way, the valley fever test came back negative. White cell counts are back in the normal range, and she credits the protocol and all the products that we used to helping Spanky get through that. Now, the interesting thing is, with Spanky and with other dogs that I have worked with, we get them in a good place. We get them so that their blood work is showing up good, or they have more energy, or they, have a better quality of life, but their choice is still to go. And I alluded to this in the last webinar that we had, that sometimes our purpose, of course, all the time, our purpose is to fix things. That's what we want to do as healers, right? We want to fix things. And, okay, we'll fix something, or we'll get something going in the right direction. We'll see positive results. We'll see more energy. We'll see recovery. We'll see blood work good. And next thing you know, the animal dies anyway. Because it was their choice. It was their time. And they were looking for an exit strategy, and they found a different exit strategy. But in the process of going from point A to point B, and in the process of healing from one thing and still transitioning because of something else, there is a window of time, a window of opportunity, when there is a deep, deep connection that these animals have with their human family. And this deep connection allows for healing on many levels, on levels that we don't even see, or we're not aware of, or we don't feel until it's over and we say, oh, that's what that was about, right? So the animals are teaching us so many lessons in engaging with them, in offering them to heal at the highest possible level, we are also working on ourselves. And this is part of the message of the deep healing journey, is that when we accept the gifts and we interact with Mother Nature and all that is, when we interact with animals especially, we learn things we wouldn't have learned otherwise. We are farther along on our journey because of the interactions we've had, because of the lessons we've learned. And so with Spanky, he's just one of many who survived and thrived with one thing, but something else came back, and he chose to leave. Now this is Maddie. Maddie is, if she is soaking wet, she might make it to 3.5 pounds. She's just a little one, and she lives in Texas. She's 15 years old. And it was discovered during a dental cleaning that she had some kind of a growth on her gum that was not taken off at that time because the dental cleaning was not, the person doing the dentistry work was not the one to do the biopsy. And so she was anesthetized so that they could get that off, and it was biopsied, and it was shown to be cancer. And little Maddie is following the protocol. Her mom is using all of the things that I tell her to do and changed her diet. And anyway, Maddie had so much energy. She was running around, feeling really good, and her hip popped out of joint. Poor little thing. So we're now working on supporting her hips. So one thing is that we're helping her with her energy. We're helping her body to heal in so many ways. She's feeling it. Her mom sees it. And now we want to address some of the other things that have been around probably for a very long time. In a dog that's 15 years old, there's probably stuff in those joints, right? Some tired tissues, some cells that are worn out, perhaps some inflammation is there. So now it's time for us to begin bringing in some other tools that can help Maddie feel better all over. I feel very good about Maddie sticking around for a long time. She's not ready to go anywhere. Can you tell in that picture with those beautiful eyes? What a sweetie. And this is Mariah. Mariah was a French bulldog who lived in Ohio, and Jane and I have known each other for many years. We were connected when my Ginger was going through hemangiosarcoma, and Jane was part of an online group. We connected and became friends. And so after I was attuned to Reiki, when things would come up, I would talk to Jane and see what I could help with, because she had a lot of dogs. She used to breed French bulldogs and pugs. That was the other one. She had those two breeds. But Mariah, you can see that tender connection that Jane had with Mariah. Mariah had gone through some difficulties, and I did some animal communication for Mariah over the phone from time to time. But when I saw Jane had posted something about Mariah being in great difficulty, it may have been her time, I connected with Mariah and just offered Reiki. That's all. Just plain Reiki. And Jane was grateful for that. She says, what a relief to have the contributions of healers everywhere helping her on her journey. So the journey for Mariah involved her transition at a time when it was right for her. And we can facilitate, we can help, we can ease that part of the journey. If that's the part of the journey that the dog chooses, we can do that with Reiki. We can offer gentle blessings and healing energy to flow. Now, what might that healing energy do besides ease of transition? Well, when we are offering Reiki, we always ask for the greatest and highest good. And so what might that greatest and highest good be? Well, it might be to not hold on to any trauma or disease, any energies that we experienced in that physical lifetime. And if we can let those go, then we are healing karma. And so in offering Reiki, we are facilitating much more than we think we are. And we're just the lightning rod. We're just, like I said, the facilitators. We're offering healing energy for the journey, for the deep healing journey that the dog or the person needs in that moment. This is Gracie's best friend, Kokua. And this was an old note. Kokua is still here. He's looking great, by the way. We first connected when Kokua was a puppy, and Kokua and Gracie are about the same age. So he had some surgery. He had a twisting stomach. See, they had to do some surgery to untwist it and staple it, and oh my gosh. And his mom, Mariah, wanted to make sure that he had everything he needed before he went into surgery. What a great question, right? What do I need to do, she says, to get him ready for this? Now, she is not attuned to Reiki, but she knows I am. And so, of course, I offered him Reiki. And, of course, he was able to do well with the protocol that I have suggested to her, because he's getting all the toxins pulled out, and he's eating the right food, and he's got the love and care of his mom. Now, there's something else that's going on with Kokua's family that I believe is showing up in his health. And that was for some time, I'll just say there was family trauma. And during that family trauma, when you looked at Kokua, he wasn't very well. He didn't look good. And of course, there's a medical reason, but there's also an energetic reason for why he didn't look good. Animals take on the energy in the family. Animals take on the grief and the worry and the stress. And so it was showing up in his physical body because of what everyone was going through. Things have shifted a little bit. They aren't as stressful as they were. There are, of course, different stresses. And he's looking better. Maria has her finger on the pulse of what he needs, and she is following through with the protocol. But he is facilitating for not only himself, but also for his mom and his family, a deep healing journey. So it's not only his journey of healing, it is his journey of helping to heal his family. It's really a beautiful story. Thank you, Kokua. Love you. Oh my gosh. This is Sugar. Sugar lived in Texas and had the same kind of cancer that our Ginger had. Unfortunately, it was much farther along than Ginger's, and we were not able to save her life. I'll just put that in quotes. We weren't able to save her life, but it really brought some attention to Sugar's mom, Tracy, that there's something out there that we need to pay attention to. There are toxins, and maybe those commercial diets aren't the best, and how does this affect me and my family? So there was a piece of Sugar's journey that was very profound. And I love that Tracy and I are still connected. I'm still connected with many of the people with whom I've worked, because when you do healing work like this, part of your journey as a healer is that you have an emotional bond, an energetic bond with the people whose lives you touch. Thank you, Sugar. This is Muncie. Can you see Muncie in the middle of the picture? Muncie is surrounded by family. His mom, Amanda, is a photographer, and she has a lot of beautiful subjects to take pictures of. Muncie also had cancer, a different kind of cancer, and she did see some tremendous results with the protocol we offered, but again, it was very late for Muncie. We were not able to save Muncie's life. However, you can see here that when she changed the diet to a raw food diet, he was actually running around the yard and playing with the puppy, barking and having a good time. And so we were able to see healing for that family as well as for Muncie, because how do you feel when your dog is running around with energy and having a good time? Do you feel better, right? Yeah, because that's what you want. You want to have that good feeling connection, and Muncie was able to give that to them. Cosmo, a very dear old soul, lived not too far from me, and I was able to actually meet him. I don't get to meet all of my clients, but I was actually able to meet him and spend some time with him, offer Reiki, and do communication for him and his mom. And the stories he told, he was so filled with anger that his back legs weren't working. He was so angry about that, frustrated, and it felt to me that he was carrying karma from previous lifetimes where something similar happened to him, that he was not able to have full use of his legs and therefore couldn't do what he wanted to do. I don't want to get too much into his story, but I just wanted to let you know about that anger piece. And so we offered just very gentle Reiki. At the time, I was just beginning to use essential oils. I certainly was using detoxification. I was able to test all of the products that his mom wanted to use to let her know which products were going to be beneficial, which ones were going to be effective, and which ones weren't, and how effective or ineffective they would be. So it's really good when you develop your practice as a healer to be in tune with the energies of all of the elements, all of the things, so that you can get a read on if something is going to be helpful or not. You can do this, and this is something that you can develop with practice. So what Barb, his mom, said was, wow, Cosmo is so much better today. He actually had 2 sessions, 2 or 3 weeks apart, and at least 3 weeks apart. She said that first Reiki session, he was able to go for walks for at least 3 weeks. That one session, she said, lasted 3 weeks. I didn't know there was a timeline on it, but it helped him for a long time. Unfortunately, he had many issues. Congestive heart failure was another one, and she was working with a vet who specialized in the heart. But as you know, there are many complex reasons why animals stay and why animals go. His mom did get attuned to Reiki. She was able to do Reiki for Cosmo and Reiki for herself. We are in touch still, and it feels like it's time for his mom to continue on the journey. And thank you, Cosmo. This is Lady. Lady was a golden retriever who lived in Georgia. And God bless Lady's mom, Susan. She wanted to do everything. She was so intent on saving Lady's life that she opted for the chemo treatments as well as the protocol I was using. And her testimony says, you know, you've given us hope, and even though what they're doing went against how I feel about it, I make sure people understand that they have a clear choice. They have their own choice on what they do. I'm just providing information. And remember, as healers, that's all we do, right? We can only provide options. We can't force anything. And so Lady would have chemo treatments and not feel good for a while. She'd get back on my protocol, she'd feel good, and then it was time for another chemo treatment, and then she didn't feel good anymore. So it was a very sad process for me to watch, that I knew Lady was going through some very difficult times, and Susan was as well, because Susan wanted her dog to heal. And she wanted to do everything, so she did everything. But remember, when you're on your deep healing journey, you're only going to do the things that are in the right vibration for the outcome that you want, or for the outcome, the best possible outcome. Things that are in alignment with the body. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. This is Daisy. Daisy lives not too far away. And I have visited Daisy twice, about a year apart. And when I first met Daisy, she was having some difficulties with her digestion. She was scooting. I think you know what that means, right? She was scooting along the carpet. She was obviously itchy and uncomfortable. But just one visit from me with Reiki and animal communication and some of the detox protocol, I don't think they switched diet. I don't think they went into a natural diet. They might have changed a little bit, but I don't think she's doing home cooking. But Daisy got off all medication. Wow. Well, that's what we like. We like it when our dogs feel better. And so for Marilyn, she was able to witness Daisy feeling better with just a very simple protocol. It feels to me, however, that as much as they want the best for Daisy, they are not seeing the bigger picture of what Daisy is trying to show them, which is their own self-healing, their own health care. And that's something we can't force. So I'm just only able to communicate with them via Daisy. Let's talk about some of the healing tools that we use, or that I have used in my protocol. Now, in that upper left-hand corner, Reiki and Intuition, that's me offering Reiki to Ginger. And it was one of my only tools. I had that and my detoxification and immune support supplements, raw diet. Those were some of the tools I had. I had some crystals, but I didn't know anything about them. I was going on the advice of Ginger's acupuncture holistic vet, that, it feels like Ginger could use a rose quartz. And so immediately I went out and I bought a rose quartz and found a way to attach a rose quartz heart to her collar. And maybe a couple of months later, her holistic vet acupuncturist said, it feels like Ginger could use an amethyst. So I ran out and I bought an amethyst and put it on Ginger. But I wasn't talking to crystals back then. I wasn't listening when they were talking to me. And I was not fully aware of their value and their importance in our energy field, in our sacred space, and the spiritual aspect of what these stones could do. But I did trust her vet, and I did trust the value. Why wouldn't I? It felt important. So I have since been a much better listener and communicator with crystal energy in the crystal world. And so that has become an important part of all the healing sessions, and especially for the deep healing journey that we all seem to be on. Since Ginger's time, I have also added essential oils. I love the energy of essential oils and know that they have tremendous value in their vibration, not only in a physical way for what these oils can do in the body, whether they are applied to the skin or added internally. There are many, many studies on the value of frankincense, for example, or lavender, or, well, any any of the oils. Some in that basic kit I like, for example, is copaiba. I love copaiba, especially for animals in trouble. It's very gentle to the system and is 55% beta-caryophyllene, so it's going to be that's a CBD, a cannabinoid, so it's going to have all of the benefits of a cannabinoid without any harmful effects of the hallucinogenic aspect of, say, a marijuana. There's none of that in copaiba, because copaiba is not marijuana. It's a tree from South America. So there are essential oils that carry their own vibration, that offer an opportunity for that detox and cleanse and release, to offer emotional healing, to offer physical healing, to offer spiritual healing. They are an integral part now of the deep healing journey that we're all on, and for the animals and that I work with as well. And at the time of Ginger's healing, I was not using tuning forks, but I am now. Tuning forks are amazing. Where Ginger used to go to the acupuncturist weekly, yeah, she would go every week to get acupuncture. And amazingly, when she did pass away, she had no arthritis. Wow. Do you think it had anything to do with the good vibration she was getting from perhaps Reiki and acupuncture and all of the other good things we were doing? Probably. The reason why I like tuning forks is because they help give a physical vibration to the body in a way that is very similar to acupuncture. And you don't have to be an acupuncturist to know how to use them or to be able to use them. And actually, this is one of the things that I encouraged Maddie's mom. Remember Maddie, the little 3.5-pound dog in Texas? I encouraged Maddie's mom to get an ohm tuning fork. An ohm tuning fork, she can strike against the carpet or against her hand and then put the stem of the tuning fork along Maddie's spine and on her hip and add that vibration as if Maddie is getting acupuncture. What a beautiful way to inspire the cells to begin their healing process. So all of these are tools. I imagine that down the road I will have more. I have my eye out on several others that I will be adding eventually. But these are the ones that are easy to work with for anybody. And that's why I like to choose them, because you don't have to be a doctor to use them. You don't have to be a certified healer to use them. You can be anybody. You can just have them and begin to use them for your family. Now, working with your tools, of course, you have to learn about these things. Get to know them and trust them. There's a new product that I began using about a month ago that is minerals. And these are nano-sized particle minerals you spray into your mouth. And when I saw the information on this, I understood immediately what it was, because I have a background in science and I know what this means to the body to have minerals. And so learning about it, knowing it, and being able to trust it means that I've done some of that work already. And I'm ready to bring it in, and I have brought it in as a tool, as one of the healing tools that wasn't on that previous page. So learning, knowing, trusting. When you are out there studying this and coming across things and becoming aware and being open, then they can be a part of your healing journey too. Develop a protocol. I have a very specific protocol that anybody can use for good health and anybody can use for healing crisis, because it's not really any different. You don't do things differently for a healthy body or for a sick body. Not really. You do the same things. You just do them perhaps more frequently, or you might add specific supplements, or maybe do Reiki with some different intentions, use different tuning forks. Well, the protocol might change a little bit, but the basic protocol is always about what is going to provide the best possible outcome for a healthy body. So the protocol for deep healing is the same. It's always the same as for good health. Do no harm. This is a big one that supposedly our medical community is supposed to be sworn to, right? Doing no harm. And yet we know that there is a lot of harm being done by taking in chemicals that are not in alignment with the body, with the body's energy. So doing no harm, we're doing no harm with Reiki. We're doing no harm with tuning forks. We're doing no harm with the careful and concise application of essential oils. We're doing no harm with any of these things because they are in alignment with good health. We always want to support good. So if you're looking at the processed food versus the raw food, what's in alignment, again, with good, you want to support what's good. The body knows what to do with raw. It doesn't know what to do with processed. And so when you're on your deep healing journey with your animals and you're offering raw foods or unprocessed foods, you might consider also having more of that raw element or less processed type of food for yourself, because you are working on this together. Remove and release, cleanse are extremely important tools in working with the deep healing journey. You can't fill up with anything good until you get the bad. The stuff that's not in alignment with good vibration, you've got to get that out first. You have to get out the heavy metals. You have to get out all of the body burden of toxicity, whether it's pesticides, chemical flea treatments perhaps, chemicals that were added to foods, or what your dogs are walking through, fertilizers and pesticides again. You have to get all of that stuff out because it's not in alignment with a healthy body. So part of the deep healing journey has to be cleansing. It has to be letting go. Now, the interesting thing that happens with letting go physically is that very often there is an emotional release as well. A deep emotional release, a reawakening, better sleep, movability, more joy in your life. When you have less pain, you tend to have more joy. So pain can reveal itself in lots of ways in the body. It doesn't have to be a physical pain. It can be an emotional pain. And some of this can be held trapped in your body by toxicity. So it is really important, huge, integral part of using your tools and working with them. Vibration, always choosing to work with higher vibrations. Thoughts and words are vibrations. If you say, I can't, that's true. You can't. If you say anything negative, I'm not going to say anything negative, but if you say negative things, they become truth, and they are a vibration. And that becomes part of your physical body. We've seen this in previous webinars. We talked about it with especially Dr. Candace Pert's book, Molecules of Emotion. We know that thoughts and feelings and emotions are vibrations that turn into physical form. We've done a workshop in my class series, Your Aura Has a Body. And yeah, all of the things that are out there in the world that you created as a vibration or as a thought manifest in physical form. So if you have cancer, or your dog has cancer, or there is this joint problem or digestion problem, it didn't start in the stomach or the joint or in the body. It didn't start there. It started 6 months away in a vibration in the auric field. And so vibration is one of the most important tools. So here's a big list. 1, 2, 3, 6 things in working with your tools. They're all very important. Ginger provided deep healing for me. I was going through the process with her. She was my teacher. And if I had ignored it, if I had given up, if I had said no, then I wouldn't be talking to you tonight, would I? And so it's really important for me to honor Ginger and everything she provided for me in my deep healing journey, that I was able to help her release a lot of the things that she was holding on to as well. Thank you, Ginger. Where will your path lead you? Are you an animal lover? Are you a healer who wants to work with animals? There's a whole world of animals out there. And you know what? They don't need fixing. They need love. And healing vibration in the form of love is the most powerful tool in working with animals. Your intention of love. And that's all they're about. They're all about love. I would love to be a part of your journey and ask you to consider your next steps. Will you be taking a class? Might it be a Reiki class? Would you like some mentoring? Is there some aspect of your healing journey that you would like a little more help with? Do you need a consultation? Are you having some difficulty with one of your animals that you would like to talk about? Or perhaps you would like to schedule a session. Because when we are in the middle of it, when we are working with our animals and we are trying to hold it all together and do the right thing and know all the things, then it's difficult, it's stressful, it's emotional. And emotions block our clear view to what is truth. Emotions get in the way of connection to spirit, of connection to your animal. It's really hard to be there for your animal if you're in the middle of it. And so, yeah, you can do these things. You can use essential oils. You can use tuning forks. You can be attuned to Reiki and do Reiki. But sometimes you just need to schedule a session. And maybe one for yourself, maybe one for your animal, maybe one for the two of you together. I know that I also go to receive healing sessions because even though I work on myself every day, there's always more that we can do. And so in being a healer, we want to make sure that we are on the path of healing ourselves. And I've said this time and time again, we are the first priority. We heal ourselves first. I think I've gone over time, but let me finish up here. The best way to reach me is through my website, secondnaturehealing.com. Also, naturalpethealthalternatives.com. And you can certainly email me, Rosemary, at secondnaturehealing.com. If you're not on the Healer's Journey webinar, just go to my website and fill in the form for the webinar, and you'll be on my list to receive all of the webinars that we have all done throughout, boy, this is what, 24, I think? I'm beginning to disregard the counting. We have so many. We'll just continue with it as long as we have the space and the time for it. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the journey and allowing me to be a part of your journey. Take care and have a wonderful evening.